Hey everybody, today we're going to learn how to solder. So before we do that, we have to get acquainted with the soldering booth area. Here you can see there is the tripod and mesh, the fire brick, and the third hand that we're going to be using. You can also see that there's flux over here, as well as steel tweezers. There's the quenching bucket, and there's actually strikers and tin snips in this other bucket. As we go into here, you can also see that there is a light that you can turn on and off that we're going to be using at different times. There are a few other things of which you need to be aware before we start learning the different types of soldering that are common to most jewelry processes. You already know you need to use flux to keep the metal clean and to make the solder flow. However, you may need to reconstitute the flux if it has dried out. We try to prevent that by keeping it in Tupperware containers, but occasionally you will have to put about a teaspoon of water in the container and mix it if you can see it's not the consistency of Elmer's glue. You should also turn on the vents anytime you are soldering. The switches are under the cabinets above the counter on the right side of the sink in the back of the classroom. Once you are ready to solder, you can turn on the natural gas and air valves that are under each of the soldering booths. Before we talk about how to solder the bail, you should understand there's a second way to create this type of connection. It is more professional, but it's much harder to create. If you want to learn about how to do that for your next piece, please see your instructor. To create the bail sample, you need a piece of brass and wire. They should really be the same gauge or thickness so the solder adheres properly. Your instructor should have already thought about this, but you might want to check and make sure using the gauge plate from the shared tool cabinet in the back of the classroom. You will need your toolkit from your locker because you will need the round nose pliers, the large half-round file, solder, and a flux brush for this sample. Additionally, it's highly recommended that you stamp your initials into these solder samples so you know which one is yours. Right now, all the pieces look the same, so someone can claim your piece if you don't do this, which is why it's recommended for this assignment. Once you have flattened the pieces with a rawhide mallet, you should file one end of the square piece and sand it halfway up the surface. You then need to bend a U into the wire with the round nose pliers. Then take a cutting pliers from the shared tool cabinet and cut that U into about 1/4 inch so that it's the right size for the sample. You will then have to take a half-round file and file the end of the U to a 90-degree flat surface. If you do not file well enough, the piece will fall apart when it's soldered, so it's important to make sure you get a completely flush connection. After you see that, you can sand the wire so that it is clean. You might be tempted to pick up the pieces with your fingers, but you need to make sure you pick them up with the tweezers and put them in the top of your tool tin to keep them clean. If there is dirt or oil on the pieces, they will not solder. Remember, you should be wearing safety glasses and tie long hair back when soldering. You should also not be wearing loose clothing. This includes hoodie strings. We don't want to accidentally set ourselves on fire. If the fire brick has flux on it, the pieces won't lay flat. So you will need to use a scraper to remove the flux from the fire brick. You should wear a mask if you have to scrape the fire brick, and you should wipe off the soldering booth with a hand broom and a dustpan in order to remove any other excess flux from the area. It's very dangerous to breathe this in. Once you have transferred the pieces to the soldering booth, you can place them on the fire brick with the tweezers. This is when you should coat the entire piece of brass, front and back, and the wire with flux using the brush from your toolkit. Then place them together to create a snug, flush fit. Make sure you do not cut off the letter that tells you what kind of solder you are using, because you will need it again later. Remember, we are using hard solder first because it melts at the highest temperature. You should cut the solder vertically first and then use the tin snips to cut just a few pieces of solder onto the fire brick or into your tin so you do not waste solder. You also need to take process photos for your digital portfolio. I would suggest taking at least 4 for each solder type so you can choose what you want to show in your portfolio. Taking a photo during the process and another one when the solder is sanded at the end is a good idea. Place one small piece of solder on each seam with the flux brush and the tweezers. Dry the flux using a small, feathery flame with little air. Remember, if the flame is too large, it will blow all the solder off your piece. You can also accidentally boil the solder off by leaving the heat on too long, so be careful. Once the flux is dry and the solder is solidified in place, you can then change the flame to a tight cone flame that is about 2 inches in length. When you heat the piece, you have to direct most of the heat on the metal square or you will melt the wire. Keep the flame moving in concentric circles until the solder melts. This circular motion will compensate the heat to keep the entire piece hot all at once. You should then see the solder melt. After the solder melts, turn off the flame quickly and pull the piece up off the fire brick with the tweezers and quench it in water. If you don't move fast enough, the piece may stick to the fire brick because flux turns to glass as it is heated and it may stick to the fire brick once it's cool. If that happens, you can turn the torch back on and heat it slightly until you can move the piece with the tweezers and then quench the piece in the water bucket closest to you. Once the piece is quenched, place the piece in your hand and take it over to the pickle. Put the protective gear on and place your pieces in the pickle with the copper tongs. There are a few very important things to remember about the pickle. First and foremost is that it's an acid solution that works best when it's warm, which is why we turn it on. It should be on either warm or low. It is also extremely important to cover the solution and to make sure it doesn't boil because the fumes are noxious, meaning that they can kill you. This is why the vent should always be on when we solder. Additionally, it's easiest to get the pieces out of the pickle when you use the draining pickle containers. There are small ones for smaller work and larger ones for larger pieces. More than one piece can go in the containers, so please make sure that you're sharing with your classmates. This is also why we're stamping our initials into those pieces. Generally speaking, it takes about 10 minutes to remove the fire scale created from soldering, but it may take longer than that if your piece was really black because you made some mistakes along the way or had to heat longer than you might have liked. Once you remove the piece from the pickle, you can file and sand any excess solder off the piece, so your last process photo is of the soldered piece that shows just the finished solder seam. Then add the images to your digital portfolio so you can submit your work in Canvas. Remember, when you're done soldering for the day, you should follow the cleanup directions that are on the wall by the soldering booth to make sure that nothing is left in the booth and all of the gas and air are turned off.